Welcome to this week's episode of Talking with Our Traders. I'm the host, Cindy Edwards, and with me today, as always, is Craig Mucklow, Vice President of Trading here at Caesars Sportsbook.
Hello there.
Adam Pullen, Assistant Director of Trading here at Caesars.
Hey everyone.
And Joey Fiesel, Head of College Football here at Caesars Sportsbook.
Hello.
Okay, guys, we have a wild card weekend breakdown scheduled for today, but first let's pivot to some breaking news. Per ESPN's Chris Lowe, Nick Saban is officially retiring. Joey, did you see this coming, and what does this mean for Alabama?
No, I did not see it coming, and I don't think anybody did. I think this was a huge shock. You know, Saban, who's had countless accolades. I mean, and it's not like he had a bad year. I mean, he lost one game during regular season to Texas. They lost on one possession in the semifinal game. It's not like it was a failure of a year. They just didn't get it done. We don't have the full details yet, but we have made some line movement to reflect it. Do I think Alabama's in trouble? No. I mean, I think that's going to be the job that everybody wants. We could see, plenty of candidates that are in good positions that would happily take that Alabama job, so I don't think it's over for Alabama, but we have made some adjustments up on Alabama. Georgia, who we had as our favorite, are now down to 325 from 4-1. Alabama was at plus 575. We made a slight jump up, plus 750. So there could be value. I mean, depending on what coach they get, and players aren't going to leave. This is still Alabama. Ohio State down from 850 to 750, and then Texas from 10-1 to 850. So a little bit on that. Only one Big Ten team went down. The rest were SEC. Obviously, Texas is in the SEC now this year. And, yeah, college season is going to look different next year. We have a lot of – the 4-team playoff is gone. It's going to be 12 teams going forward, which means we're going to add 8 games to the end of the season. First 4 games will be on the home field, so whoever's the higher seed will get the home field. We have some conference consolidation. There's going to be a Bay Area team playing in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a bizarre world, and college football is in an interesting spot with the NILs and everything. Just kind of a consolidation to the power at the top. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. Like I said, those who we have as kind of our top players going into next year as favorites. If we look to Heisman, haven't made any adjustments to Heisman. Still, Jalen Milroe is our leader. I think. At the beginning of last year, we even talked about on this Spaces that, is the Alabama era done? They were having trouble at quarterback. Well, Jalen Milroe answered the call towards the end of the year. Played really well. I think even with an offseason under his belt, with the Nick Saban stuff, I don't know, without that direction, but we still expect him to be one of the better players for next year's college football season. So he's the favorite at 8-1. We have Dylan Gabriel in Oregon taking over the reins from Bo Nix at second at 10-1. Quinn Ewers is still kind of flirting with the NFL draft, but we still think he's going to go back to Texas, run it back in his first year in the SEC at 10-1. Carson Beck, quarterback at Georgia. Georgia's going to be in the mix again. Their favorite for national championship, so he should be in there. Kind of one that we have up there that looks almost surprising. Noah Fafita from Arizona. They're going to go to the Big 12 this year. Oklahoma and Texas are out of the Big 12, so there's not going to be a massive amount of competition. A lot of points going to be scored in the Big 12, so we have him up there. And then we have Jackson Dart returning from Ole Miss at 15-1. So, yeah, it doesn't end. I think the season ends on Monday. We're already off and running for the next season. So, yeah, RIP to my vacation time. So.
So true. Well, fantastic breakdown. Guys, anything you want to add there with the Saban news or the college futures?
No, I mean, it's, the guy is obviously, he's done it for, 28 years as a college coach, all those national championships. So, he's in his early 70s. He's done all he can do. Like Joey said, the day of NIL is here, and it's now a 365-day-a-year job being a college football coach. Not only recruiting other players who you want to get in the transfer portal, but keeping your own players as well. You have to re-recruit them every single year. So maybe it's just something he just didn't want to do, but who knows? We'll find out whenever he makes an announcement on the reason why. But, yeah, he's going to have an impact. He's been one of the best. But, again, Alabama's going to get the cream of the crop, and everybody's going to want that job. So they'll likely have a very good coach next year.
Very true.
Alabama will be fine. And if you're 71 years old, why would you want that headache? So retire, put your feet up, you've earned it.
All right. Well, moving on, let's talk NFL. To some NFL news. We saw the Seahawks announce today an amicable agreement that Pete Carroll will not be returning as head coach, but will stay in the organization in some capacity as an advisor or something of the sort. Is this the end of Pete Carroll's head coaching career, or do you think he'll kind of shop the market?
I don't know. It's up to him. Like I say, he's, again, in his early 70s. How much more do you want to do it? But, Joe and I were discussing, and he's saying how energetic he is. He's not a stoic one. He's just sitting there. He's fired up. He's running up and down the sideline. So, it's up to him. I mean, obviously the Seahawks have had a couple years they haven't made the playoffs. So maybe they just wanted a change in direction. But, he's done a great job. Won a Super Bowl. He's coached well at the college and pro level. So it's up to him to see if he wants to stay with the organization or possibly take a head coaching job somewhere else.
Yeah, he's done well. Didn't get Geno Smith's $2 million bonus for getting in the playoffs this week. Got a Super Bowl. I don't think there's anything amicable about any divorce, or whenever that word's used, I'm a bit wary about that.
You never believe it, yeah.
So, yeah,
that's
I
fair.
mean, look, again, you've earned your time. Relax. Go spend time with your family.
Yeah, I think he might shop the market. I mean, a lot of these guys that are just football year long, they can't let it go.
No,
Right.
So I would expect him to shop and look around and kind of see, is there a position out there that would be favorable that he could run it back? Because I think they're all sick puppies when you get to that level.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want a project, would you?
Yeah, you don't want a project.
No.
It's got to be at least an
contender,
advantage.
but yeah.
You got to have an advantage.
Maybe he's going to go back in the college game. Who knows? I mean,
Alabama,
who knows?
hey, they need a coach.
That's a good point. Speaking of the market, the Titans have a vacancy because they have fired their head coach, Mike Vrabel. Did they make the right choice there?
Yeah, I think they did. First because
Interesting. I wasn't expecting you to say that.
of that 14-point comeback against the Dolphins that cost the Dolphins the AFC East, so deserves that anyway. But I mean, look, when he first joined the Titans, they made the playoffs 3 straight years. They got the 1 seed. They went to the championship game, 2 division titles. They had a serviceable quarterback in Tannehill, and they had Derrick Henry in his prime, and they never got over the edge. The difference this year, and it's a common thing. So, of the 4 head coaches that got let go this week, with Pete Carroll as well, they're ranked 25th, 27th, 28th offensively, with Seattle surprisingly 16th. Only 8 teams regressed more than those teams. So the Patriots regressed, the Chiefs obviously did, the Raiders, Chargers, Eagles, Panthers all went backwards on offensive production. You give excuses to the Bengals and the Giants, and of those 8 teams, 3 of them were already fired mid-season anyway. The lack of scoring doesn't put people in the stadium, and it doesn't sell $20 hot dogs and $30 beers. So I think it was just a time for a change, and maybe he ends up in New England.
Yeah, I think you had called that a couple weeks back, so I'm going to start calling you Nostradamus if that...
Yeah, more luck than judgment.
yeah.
He called the whole switcheroo, though, so
I
we
did,
have to
yeah.
wait and see if Belichick
I'll get on the phone to Robert in a minute.
agrees.
Yeah, but I don't think it was the right choice. I mean, they obviously had the GM change last year, so I think you need time to develop. I don't think you can really ask for success on day one. I still think they need a quarterback, whether that's going to be Will Levis going forward. I think it needs time for them to grow, and I think Mike Vrabel is one of those coaches that's just very well respected throughout the league. You're not going to find that coach anywhere. So I don't think it was the right move right now. From what it sounds like, it was ownership, and it might be, it's not putting. If you're running a business, you need to put stuff in the seats, and it wasn't a very exciting offense.
Well, Luke, you have the right personnel, no matter what the job is in whatever division you have. So if you're a head coach of the team, you surround yourself by the talent, you get the right people in, and you nurture that talent. And Vrabel just hasn't got that team over the edge.
Yeah, I mean, he's a defensive coach, so that's his stock and trade. But yeah, the offense has been lacking. I mean, obviously it's not. He doesn't have first choice in who they draft and who their quarterback is. But yeah, the offense has struggled. They haven't made the playoffs in 2 years. As Janet Jackson said, "What have you done for me lately?" I still don't think it was the right move. I think he's a great coach, but he will not be unemployed for very long.
Yeah, I mean, just a couple years ago, he got Coach of the Year, so
Right.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the NFL.
life
Yeah.
moves
Yeah.
fast.
Look, you have to win. You don't get awarded things because you lose 3 games as a college kid and get the Heisman Trophy.
Right.
You've got to win, and that's what the head coach has to do.
Right. Okay, well, let's get into our regular scheduled programming and dive into the wild card weekend matchups. Which playoff reunion are you guys looking forward to most? We have Tyreek Hill's Dolphins at Kansas City. Then we have my personal favorite, Matthew Stafford's Rams at Detroit. And then Cowboys Coach McCarthy versus old team in Green Bay. Guys, which one are you most excited for? Strictly because of the storyline, of course.
Well, it's going to be personal to me too, because obviously the matchup I'm looking forward to is Rams and Lions. Beginning that we started the Spaces, I was high on the Lions. I really like Dan Campbell. I really like the coaching staff, and the Rams I've been a fan of since a boy. So it's interesting to see, especially that dynamic of the trade that was made a couple years ago to put the Rams into the Super Bowl, and now the Lions won off that trade as well. It was almost like, and now they're both going to be, going for that Super Bowl in 2024. It's just wild to me. But I'm excited and I'm not excited because, again, I do like the Lions. I like to watch them every week. I like the team, and the Rams are my team, so it's like one of them has to lose. And, they're not both going to win. I'd rather at least the Rams play the Cowboys or something like that. So I'm excited. I think that's the best storyline, but again, I'm connected to these two teams.
I'll agree with Joey. I think it's the best storyline. I mean, obviously, Stafford was a quarterback, 12 seasons in Detroit. Detroit is their first home playoff game in 21 years. Stafford was there for a lot of lean years and some good years as well. But, I think for the Lions to have that home playoff game for that first time in a long time and then have Matthew Stafford possibly come back and, deal them a loss in their first game in a long time at home in the playoffs might be a bitter pill to swallow. But I think for me, that's the best storyline. I agree with Joey.
So the three of you all agree it's the Rams and Lions?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Right, I've already seen Tyreek versus the Chiefs. Saw that in Germany. McCarthy's won Green Bay a Super Bowl. He has a street named after him. Not really interested in that one. It's Stafford versus Goff. It's obvious.
Yeah.
The trade bought Joey's Rams a Super Bowl. Does it do the same? But also remember, I gave a friend of mine 9-1 that Detroit don't win a home game, a playoff game in 5 years. So
Right.
I've got personal interest on this one.
Is this the first time we've all agreed on something?
It's scary.
Could be.
I think it
scary,
is. Okay, well, let's open it up then. Which is the most enticing matchup between all of the matchups this weekend?
I'm going back. I think it's the Lions and the Rams. It's going to be the highest total on the board right now. Both of these teams just great offenses. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Sam Laporta looks he might go, but at what capacity we don't know. But you have the Puka and Cooper Kupp on the other side, and with that passing attack going well, Kyron Williams the running back is doing well too. So I think when we watch a football game, besides Craig, I like to watch some points being scored. I think that's the one that we're going to see.
2-0 me every time.
Yeah, you love them just commentating through the whole game. Well, there's no points, but I think it's going to be the highest scoring game, and so that's what's most enticing to me.
For me, I'm going to say Browns-Texans. First playoff game, it's the old guard versus the new guard. Flacco, we'll see if he can keep up what he's been doing against C.J. Stroud, obviously in his first NFL playoff start. I think that's the most exciting. And obviously, what's looming on the horizon, will Flacco get to go play in Baltimore? So I'll be interested in that. But each game has its own unique story and flavor to it. So I don't think there's a wrong answer, but I'm picking Browns-Texans.
I like it. Craig?
I am going Dolphins, Chiefs, and Steelers, Bills for the same reason I enjoyed watching the Steelers and Ravens and the Jets and the Patriots last week. Horrendous weather, proper football. Let's get to it.
It's like for golf, you like watching the British Open when the golfers are struggling in the bad weather conditions.
So the first thing I check this Friday is before I actually play golf is if it's windy, because then I play so bad, then I'll accidentally say I cannot play because then I don't lose again.
Let's be honest, guys. Craig just loves chaos,
Yes.
so that's just all he wants to see. And we will get into all of those matchups a little bit later. What is the potential biggest upset of the weekend?
So home favourites this year between 2.5 and 4 points covered 56.9% of the time, and they won straight up 70%. On the reverse, the road favourites covered 57.1 and won at 67%, which directly relates to the money lines that we have on the board right now. So they're not really massive upsets, a field goal favourite. But then when you look further into the percentages, at least two games, you've got the Cowboys minus 7.5, which, as I was looking at the historicals, there's about 6% value on the Packers money line right now. So maybe there's the one. But for me, it's going to be the Bills with the Steelers. The weather will be the contributing factor. It's 30-mile-an-hour winds. The only thing going against it is the Bills are 16-0 as 10-point favourites at home the last 5 years or bigger. I think that's the upset with the big two prices. But the real upset, it's going to be the end of the Eras tour in Kansas City this weekend. Wow. That running game is going to pound the ball. Mosa will be back. Miami beat Kansas City straight up.
That's interesting because it's usually, the warm weather team going to freezing cold. It's usually not your cup of tea, but
I'm going to watch it because the weather's terrible. So.
That's true.
And we will dive into that deeper.
I'll say Packers over the Cowboys. Of the two, I mean, obviously, like Craig said, there are no upsets with those other matchups. It's either the Steelers going to beat the Bills or the Packers going to beat the Cowboys. But I'll say the Packers over the Cowboys. To me, is of those two the more likely of upsets. A lot of pressure on the Cowboys. Haven't had the playoff success in recent memory, so made Green Bay a little bit smaller of an underdog. So I'm going to say the Packers.
Yeah, we both agreed on that when the number came out. Yeah.
I mean, look, once we get into this spot, as bookmakers, we're praying for one of the big outright underdogs to win, or to win outright. So, which sets you up for a better weekend. So, let's hope we can get one of them in.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest upset would be Steelers beating the Bills, but I don't see that coming. I think the only upset that I like and that I lean this week is the Texans to beat the Browns. Played a couple weeks ago. Obviously, Stroud wasn't playing in that game. Browns won by 14 points. And yeah, I'm a fan of young teams and like teams that are gonna, perform terribly in the previous couple of years and kind of, pushing themselves over, setting up their future. So I like the Texans to win, but yeah, it looks pretty chalky for the most part.
All right. Which team is most likely to take down the 1 seed in each conference?
I cheated. I took 2 teams. The AFC, I took the Bills, obviously, because I've been on the Bills bandwagon for a while, and they'll have to go to Baltimore. But the other one in the AFC, the Browns worry me because, and we said it a few weeks back, the last team that the Ravens want to face is the Browns with Joe Flacco.
Absolutely.
All the Ravens fans I know are not liking that potential matchup. And in the NFC, the Rams, because I'm pretty high on the Rams. And it would be a divisional game against the 49ers, so that there's commonality. And Adams' Eagles, I just think they'd right the ship. And motivation after what the 49ers did to them, they'll have the motivation as well.
Yeah, I'll agree. For the AFC, I agree with Craig and the Bills. For the NFC, I picked 2 teams. So whoever wins the Rams-Lions game. Like I said, that's a tough game, and the Rams are playing so well. But like Joey said, I think the Lions have that certain something. Obviously, the defense has struggled a little bit, but just something about Dan Campbell and obviously they should have went into Dallas. Probably should have won the game the other day against the Cowboys a few weeks ago. But yeah, I'm saying the winner of that game has a chance, whoever that might be.
Yeah, I went with the Rams as well. I think it's really just the advantage. Just McVay and Shanahan know each other so well. They play twice a year. Now they get a chance a third time. We saw that in the NFC Championship game where the Rams won. So I think that's the best chance to beat the Niners. On the AFC side, I really don't see anybody who can upset the Ravens at this point. The only team, would be the Bills. And I think that they're a shell of what they once were. But, Josh Allen has figured out how to make interceptions work in his favor. He gained some on that 4th and 2 and gained 20 yards back in the last game. So, the AFC side, I think Ravens kind of run it. But the NFC side, I'm agreeing. The Rams have the best chance just because of that relationship with Shanahan.
All right. Well, I love an upset, so. Are you guys ready to get into some game previews?
Ready.
All right, first matchup of Wild Card Weekend is the Browns versus Texans. Stroud is coming off of a historic rookie season, and get this, he was 6 years old when Flacco made his NFL debut with the Ravens.
And who made the playoffs that year?
Craig, you tell me you were there.
Flacco with the Ravens as a rookie.
Do you think that works in Flacco's favor? He's got some age to him, or that works against?
It depends who you're asking.
True.
The line opened 1.5 Browns, 43.5. It's up to 2.5, 44.5. So a little bit of movement towards the Browns and a little bit of movement to the over. I made this 3 Browns. Adam and I disagreed on this on Sunday night in a different call. And I made the number 46, so not that much difference, but obviously when you open 1.5 and you've got a field goal favourite, you tend to look that way. Stroud's, this is the only 5th rookie quarterback head coach combo to make the playoffs. 2 of them were eliminated in the wild card, Andrew Luck and the Falcons' Matt Ryan. 2 made the conference championships, Mark Sanchez and Joe Flacco.
Wow.
With Harbaugh as the coach. 15 rookie quarterbacks have made the playoffs, 6 of them have lost in the wild card, none have won the Super Bowl. Texans, for me, against the top 10 defenses haven't been great, but granted, one was a loss against the Browns without Stroud. They lost to the Ravens, but they did beat the Steelers. The Browns have won 4 of the last 5 head-to-heads, but the Texans won 5 of those straight before. So I don't know. The Browns have the number right now. Amari Cooper went off for 265, 2 touchdowns, and Flacco looked like MVP material in the game they played a few weeks back without Stroud. Texans scored on a kickoff return, and they scored 2 garbage touchdowns. So the score really didn't reflect. But you're talking about a backup quarterback just coming in. So that's how I see it. The Browns, and no opinion on the total for me.
Yeah, these are 2 teams that kind of, haven't had that much success in years past. Now they're in the playoffs, so that it's an interesting matchup there. They've been consistent all year long. I think both of these teams have only lost back-to-back twice, or each one had 1 back-to-back loss this season. Texans start out the year 1-0-2, and then there was the 2 years when they were transitioning to Flacco that the Browns lost 2 in a row. The experience obviously goes to Flacco in this one with rookie Stroud. He's got a Super Bowl ring with that Harbaugh Bowl played in 2013 at the Caesars Superdome. But yeah, I'm leaning Texans in this one to get it done. Stroud obviously hasn't played in a playoff game, but he's played in big games. I mean, we saw in that Georgia-Ohio State game, which that Georgia was clear the best team in the country. They played up to the last minute. So while it's not the same as the NFL, I still think he has at least experienced those big games and performing in big games, and he wants it bad. So yeah, I'm leaning Texans in this one.
Yeah, I agree with Joey. Like Craig said, I had a game like pick. Maybe the Browns won, so I think 3 is a take myself. But no, it's obviously how Stroud going to react. Like Joey said, he's played in big games before. Yes, college is not the NFL, but playing Ohio State, it's close. So yeah, that's the big question. Flacco's experience, is he going to keep up what he's been doing, and how is Stroud going to react under the bright lights of his first NFL playoff game? So remains to be seen, but I agree with Joey. I'm sort of leaning the Texans' way at taking 3.
All right. Next up, we have Chiefs versus Dolphins. Both teams have had their own struggles, but I think we can all agree they'll be struggling with the weather in this game. Craig, what should we expect?
10-mile-an-hour winds, probably -5 degrees. It's going to be cold. Probably the second coldest day in Kansas City ever. 50% chance of snow, so lovely beach weather, basically. This opened Chiefs 3.5. It's been bet up to 4.5, no surprise. The total obviously dropped. I made this 2.5 Chiefs 47, but that was assuming no weather at the time. But the first thing you do every Sunday night is check next week's weather. Dolphins have lost the last 4 versus the Chiefs. They lost in Germany in a closer game that Kansas City kept them in it. Miami looked like they had a chance at the end, but Kansas City were the better team. The problem with the Dolphins, they are just decimated by injuries on the defensive side of the ball. But they did step up. They picked Josh Allen off twice in the end zone, where he likes to throw all his interceptions anyway. They held the Bills to 14 points on defense. The other touchdown was a punt return. Miami's problems, though, are not just the defensive side, the offensive side of the ball as well. Waddle's injured, Mostert's injured. It looks like Mostert probably will go on Sunday. Miami have only beaten 1 team with a winning record this year. They beat 2 top 10 scoring defenses, the Raiders and the Cowboys. Against the bad teams, Miami score 35 points a game. Against the top 10 defenses, they score 18, so there's a big difference. The weather will be the defining factor, and whoever has the best running game. I'm taking Miami because I just think the Chiefs, they can't catch the ball anyway, and then trying to catch a brick in -5 degrees, they're not going to be interested in that.
Yeah.
So whoever has the better running game, and if Miami have Mostert back and they dominate possession, then they've got a chance. Miami's problem is, it's like the Bills of 1990s. They score so fast that the defense is always on the field, and the defense can't keep up. And if you're always on the field, it leads to injuries and fatigue, and that's your problem. And we saw it in the Super Bowl when the Giants held the ball for 45 minutes against the Bills. If you don't have the ball, you can't score, and that has to be the game plan. But I think Miami pulled this one out because of the last 2 results have been embarrassing. You're not going to do it 3 straight. Daniel's too clever. He'll think of something.
Yeah, a little chilly in Arrowhead. And even, it's in the negatives. It might be worse with wind chill.
Yeah.
Craig has said all year long, warm weather teams traveling. But
They're flying out last minute.
Are they?
last
Yeah.
minute.
I was
That's
wondering.
I'm agreeing. I don't think the Chiefs have solved their problems at all throughout the whole years on the offensive side of the ball. Really, what made them the team. Obviously, the NFL, what they want to see is they want the Chiefs and the Bills to win, so we could see a playoff Chiefs-Bills matchup. But, I give the advantage to the Chiefs here just because they've been in this spot. Again, the Dolphins, I don't know, they're battered. I don't know if they can just fix their problems in 1 week's time. I think they're demoralized after giving that division up. So I give the Chiefs a little bit of advantage, but unlike Craig, I'm not looking forward to this game.
Yeah, no, line seems fair to me, but I agree with Joe. I give the Chiefs a slight edge. I mean, obviously they have the better defense. Miami, we talk about Tyreek Hill, who knows what his impact is going to be with those cold conditions. But like Craig said, if you can run the ball in the cold, you're going to win games. And like I said, the Chiefs, we've talked about over and over how they've not looking the same. But the same question about the Dolphins. Only be one team with a winning record, and that was Dallas by a couple of points late in the season. So I give the edge to the Chiefs. It's like two teams that we've been talking about as being just not as good as they once were or as people think they are. So,
Right.
But it's gonna be interesting to see. I like Joey's saying it could be like double-digit sub-zero wind chill, which obviously it's gonna be great watching in the comfort of our home. But and just to see how the teams react. But yeah, I give the edge to the Chiefs, even though we've talked so bad about them in the last half of the season. But the Dolphins, they could be mammals out of water in this weather. We'll see.
Ooh.
I didn't say fish.
Didn't say fish.
If there's a Tyreek Hill carries prop rather than receptions, I'd take the over.
Right.
Yeah, I think he
Yeah.
gets the speedsters involved as often as they can.
Yeah, good caller.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we move on from this, I'm seeing on social media fans are pretty upset that this is only streaming on Peacock. But what a lot of people don't know, Craig, is that it is also available to stream on the Caesar Sportsbook app. So definitely want to do a shameless plug there.
There's only one place I'm watching it. On the comfort of my couch with the Caesars app.
Yeah. Sounds like the best way to watch it to
It is,
me.
yeah.
Moving on, we have Steelers versus Bills. The Bills are on a 5-game winning streak after being just 6-6. They secured the number 2 seed in what I can imagine is a very favorable matchup against the Steelers. We received a question from David Purdom of ESPN. He asks, were you able to stay in front of the weather-related action on Steelers-Bills and just move the line based on forecast, or did you see a rush of underbets that caused you to move the total?
No, we were ahead. The one thing that on a Sunday night after those week's games, we speak to David on a Sunday, and while I'm talking to David, or Adam's doing all the talking, I'm just helping. We're looking at next week's weather, we always are. So it's one of my favourite subjects. It's one of the few subjects I'm actually any good at. So no. And people still bet it, even when the lines moved. Who would have bet under 28.5 the Pats Jets last week? Who would bet under Iowa's totals? Mm-hmm. If the number's correct and the weather's bad, have the faith.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where the bottom is. I mean, obviously, once that news comes out and here's the horrible weather, it just gets pounded relentlessly because people see it and where does it stop where the sharps start betting the over? That's the interesting question.
But the thing with weather is as well, the weather can change. So you always have to check it. You can't just assume on Sunday night, it's 25-mile-an-hour winds on Sunday. Those patterns change all the time, so it's a constant thing that we always look at as traders. Is multiple people are in the building looking at the weather sheet, and we're clicking the links, checking it, looking at the radar. It's what you have to do. It's part of the job.
Should we just get a Caesar Sportsbook meteorologist?
I'll take it.
He's sitting right there.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, it's another one that's hard because that'll happen where at the beginning of the week you get hammered on the under. It moves so far.
Yeah.
Then you start taking over bets, and then you kind of have a bad middle where you don't want it to land, which can happen a lot in college, especially because the amount of games there are. So yeah, it's difficult to say the least.
I used to scare the living daylights out of my former bosses because when I knew the weather was bad, I would literally move a field goal under the total and take all the arbitrage money of the above and hope the weather arrives, because then you can trade it the opposite way. And then you've got this huge middle that's great for you.
All right, well, let's get into the breakdown. Who would like to tackle that one?
I'll start. Steelers, Bills, obviously, we talked about the Bills and how great second half of the season has been. Game opened 10 and 41.5, still 10, but the total, like we said, is down to 36. The weather report, unless you're like Craig, unless you're a fan, if you're a fan of defense and running the ball, Craig will like it. Other people may not. I mean, the wind, possible 50. You're talking about over 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. That's incredible. So if you like kicking and you like passing, this might not be your cup of tea this game. But no, it's a great job by the Steelers this year to get in the playoffs, winning their last 3 games. Obviously, they got some help with the Jaguars losing to get in the playoffs. They've done it with a great defense and a quarterback situation that's been shaky. But Mason Rudolph's now the guy. He's played well the last few games, no interceptions. But how much he'll be throwing is a question, because we'll see a lot of Najee Harris running the ball. He's had a good couple of games the last few weeks. So like Craig said, in those bad weather games, those cold weather games, you got to run the football. If passing is not an option, which kind of favors the Steelers in the sense, because they're not a very good passing team anyway. So, but again, it's going to be a tall order. I think the Bills, obviously, they're the better team. They should get the win here. But covering 10, that's a different story. But yeah, what the Bills have done, obviously, Craig was one of the big proponents of the Bills when everybody else wasn't. They went all the way to the division championship, which nobody thought that they would even have a chance at. So I think the Bills win, but like I said, that weather, it just changes things. It's a great equalizer. And if the Steelers can run the ball, they have a great defense, even though T.J. Watt's not playing.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but they still got a shot. So I'm interested to see this game, even if there is not going to be much passing on the cards.
Yeah, Bills Steelers. Steelers might be the worst playoff team out of all these teams. They have a negative point differential, but that really doesn't matter now. In order to win the Super Bowl, one of these wild card teams have to win 4 straight. So, anything can happen. I still think the Bills probably get this done. I mean, they have so much momentum on their side. They really fought to win those last 5 games of the season. It's not going to be a fun one to watch unless you're Craig. But I think Bills get it done, but that 10 might be not what they cover.
Yeah, I made this 8.5 Bills before the TJ Watt injury, and I made it 38 total before the weather. So it was already going to be a low number. The Bills have won 5 straight. It should have been 6 straight because they absolutely had the Eagles beat. It was a 60-yard field goal, gone to overtime.
Yeah.
That was not great weather, but it's that kind of rain where you can score points. Now as the 2 seed, their worst road to the Super Bowl is they've got to play 1 road game, which will be in Baltimore. Watt's injury is devastating to the Steelers, and it was his own player that took him out, which was a shame. It's also interesting. I've never looked at this, and now I'm talking about it, I probably will. The interest in the impact of teams that have played in bad weather the week before and then go bad weather again the week after, because there must be a lot of wear and tear, especially in the trenches, on the teams, and that's something I'll end up messing about with tonight. As I said earlier, Bills as a double-digit home favourite since 2019, 16-0. The unders are 11-5, and that's even before you throw in 30-mile-an-hour winds. The Bills don't cover this. No. The weather's just they played Miami last year in January in the wild card. Miami started a backup quarterback. They were 14-point favourites. Miami lost by 3. The weather wasn't as bad as expected. It wasn't great, but nobody wants to go to Buffalo in December. And that game on Sunday night seemed like it was a home game for Buffalo and Miami. There were so many Bills in that field.
Yeah. You know what's crazy about both these teams? They both lost to the Patriots this season.
Patriots won 2 games.
All right. Moving on, Packers versus Cowboys. We talked about the McCarthy reunion earlier. Craig, break it down.
Open 7.5, 49.5. It's now 7.5, 51.5. So the money's come for the over. And no surprise, I'll tell you why. I made this 6.5 and 48. One of the traders in one of our channels posted the other day that the Packers have never lost in AT&T Stadium since it opened. Now he's a Packers fan, so I'm guessing he'd be correct on this.
Right, yeah.
The Cowboys are 1-9 straight up against the Packers the last 10 games. Granted, Aaron Rodgers was quarterback for 9 of them, and Matt Flynn, that Hall of Famer, he got the other win. The last 5 games between these two teams averaged 62 points, so you can see the move. You can see why people bet the over.
Yeah.
Packers 5-1 against the over against playoff teams this year, so they put points on the board when they're playing quality teams as well. But remember, the 50-point totals that we said a few times. The 50-point closing totals this year are 10-2 to the under, and in the playoffs, 50-point totals 14-7-1 to the under. Cowboys had the second easiest schedule this year, but they are 6-2 against the spread at home. The one thing that does worry me, the Cowboys have been the same game parlay darling for our customers. Like last week, we had a customer who predicted 4 of the 5 touchdown scores. He even picked the Washington Commanders touchdown score in an SGP. So a hat tip to that customer. I think Green Bay pull off the shock on the under for me.
This will be the 9th postseason matchup for the Packers and Cowboys. The record being split 4-4. Last time they played, 2017, the 4-seed Packers beat the 1-seed Cowboys. So I guess that was at AT&T Stadium. Yeah, I think the Packers did enough kind of late in the year, but I still think they're trying to find their identity. Obviously losing Aaron Rodgers, trying to make Jordan Love kind of be the guy. I wouldn't be surprised if they cover here, but I think the Cowboys probably get it done in Jerry World.
Yeah, no, it's a big story how the Packers defense, how they're going to cope with that prolific Cowboys offense. Like we said, they've averaged 37 points at home. They've dominated teams. The Lions was the only one that had a squeaker in. Well, Seattle, they won by 6 as well. But again, the pressure's on Dallas. I mean, there's, being a native Texan, not a Cowboys fan, but, they haven't won 2 playoff games since 1995 in the same year. So, the hype is now, I still think, like Craig and I said, that I think the Packers have a shot. I think they stay within the number. I think the Cowboys probably win the game. But again, the Packers, what's going to be interesting to see, the Packers have always historically, they've been, of any underdog team, the Packers have always gotten more money when they've been the underdog. Seattle is another one. Yeah. But the Packers always get a lot of underdog money. But again, that's with Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
We'll see if the bettors love the new look Packers.
Love.
That. Love.
If the Packers win the coin toss, they take the ball opening kickoff, like what they did Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Okay. Next up, we have Rams versus Lions. Again, we briefly mentioned this already, but the big story here being Matthew Stafford returning to Detroit and Jared Goff facing his old team. Joey, start us off.
Okay, line opened up 3. It's still -3 with some juice, leaning towards that 3.5. I'm not sure if it gets there. But no, this is the Stafford deal that resulted in both teams in the position where they are today, in competing for Super Bowl, which is just wild. It's going to be played at Ford Field, so weather's not a factor, Craig. Rookie tight end Sam Laporta is injured. They say he has a shot to play, but at what capacity, we don't know. This looks like it could be a shootout. The Rams' D has not been great. And they got the excellent wide receivers with Puka and Cooper Kupp, and the running back performing well. On the other side, the Lions' offense has been good all year long. You got really a bunch of star wide receivers, Amon-Ra St. Brown. You got Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama, and Jared Goff. He makes a few mistakes here and there, but he's still keeping that team. And Dan Campbell, he is fired up at every moment of every game. It doesn't matter what the score is. So, I'm excited to see this one. Again, one has to lose, but hopefully maybe it's the Lions. But that would be sad as well.
No, it figures to be an entertaining game, like we said. It could go either way. Like Joey said, I mean, the Rams are on fire, 7-1, their last 8. Could easily been 8-0. They could easily beat the Ravens on the road. But again, if it were that easy, just say take the team that's hot, we'd all be rich. So, but I just think the Lions have that certain something. Their defense, though, has been very spotty. That was thought to be one of the best parts of their team, and it really hasn't been. In the Rams, their offense has been clicking. Stafford, he's been healthy majority of the year. Kyron Williams running the ball well. Puka Nacua has been a godsend, a revelation. Nobody expected that, and they still have Cooper Kupp. So the Lions, they have a lot on their plate to try and stop that Rams offense. But again, I think it could go either way. But like Joey said, I love Dan Campbell. The passion he has is just something about him. Like you think they're never going to be out of it regardless. So I don't know how this game's going to go, but I'll go with the Lions in a close game.
I made this exactly the number, 351.5. So the line's completely wrong, obviously. The Lions have only faced one playoff team at home. They faced 5 on the road. They went 3-3 straight up, 4-2 against the spread. Although there's an asterisk on that Cowboys game.
Right.
The Rams on the flip side, and I removed that Week 18 49ers game because that doesn't really count. No. 2-4 against the spread, 4-3 over under, 1-6 straight up. So it's just Lions, doesn't it? Which is why the Rams win straight up. Give me the form and give me the experience. Next year for the Lions.
All right, okay. Well, moving on, the last matchup we have to preview is Eagles versus Bills. The Eagles have lost 5 of their last 6. Adam, break it down.
Yeah, game opened 1.5, 44.5. Now we're sitting at the Eagles as a 3-point favorite in 44. Eagles and unders where the action's been so far, but surprising it's the Monday night game. I didn't think this was going to be the one, but it is. But gives both teams a chance to get healthy. The Eagles obviously saw Hurts and A.J. Brown, got dinged up last week. Probably could have played, but since the division was out of the question, Sirianni sat him. But yeah, we've mentioned the Eagles have been very poor, to say the least, the last 6 weeks or so. The defense has been, I don't want to rag on my team so much. I'm trying to figure out the nicest way to say it. The defense has left a lot to be desired. The secondary is just getting lit up. I just don't know if it's going to be something that they can revert. I know Craig said earlier, it's possible. They have the talent to do so. They also got Devontae Smith, DeAndre Swift. Every team's got injuries, but a lot of key positions that the Eagles have, they have injuries. Although they might get Darius Slay back, he said he's going to play, so that'll be a boost to the secondary. Can't hurt the way they've been playing, but again, Baker Mayfield, he also has an injury. He got dinged up in the game against Carolina where they clinched a division. He's got a bad ankle, so that might counter things as far as that goes. But, I mean, for the Eagles, it's the best matchup they could have gotten. Of any situation, obviously whoever played Tampa, even though they're the division winners, they got a home game. Whichever team played them was likely going to be viewed as being in the best spot. So they do have that going for them, but boy, it's tough to see the way they played. I mean, they could have easily lost to the Giants. It could be 0-6 in their last 6 games. I just don't know how they're turning it around. They just got bad juju right now. It's like talking about coaching changes. Is Sirianni going to be there? I mean, they have coordinator issues all year.
Yeah.
As much as they're my team and I'll root for them, but and I know Baker Mayfield's hurt. I just can't argue for laying the 3 with the Eagles here. I got it. If my fan hat says Eagles, my betting hat says Tampa +3. But I just don't think a team that has these many issues and problems defensively, even though Tampa's not the best offensively, it's going to be a challenge for them. They did play early in the year. The Eagles won 25-11, but that's a different team than what we have now.
Right.
So, can they win? Yes, but if they do win, I certainly don't see it going much further than the next week. But I'll root for them. Go Birds.
All right, guys. How do you feel about it?
The Eagles faced 8 playoff teams this year, and they went 6-2 straight up. There's quality in that team. The Bucs faced 6 playoff teams this year. They went 4-0 against the spread on the road, but they're 0-2 against the spread with 0 wins at home, and this game is in Tampa Bay. Now, there's been thunderstorms and tornado warnings all week in Tampa Bay. There's a 66% chance of rain and 10-mile-an-hour winds. The Panthers held the Bucs to 9 points last week, so the Eagles need to score 12 to cover. Can the Eagles score 12 points, Adam?
Sure.
There you go. There's your
But how many
answer.
are they going to give
Eagles and under.
Yeah, ugly game. Just
Lovely.
Just ugly game here. Eagles just really underperforming. I'm going to give, it's a coin flip in my mind, at least in the form that they're in, but obviously with the Baker news, this game seems to be more of an advantage to the Eagles. Obviously, Eagles having the experience there and Baker being hurt, so yeah, give me the Eagles.
All right. Well, that concludes our game previews. Guys, let's get into some weekly game predictions. Who would like to start?
I'm going Old Faithful. Dolphins, Chiefs under, Steelers, Bills under. Let's just stick to the two that won last week. We said the Patriots, Jets, Steelers, Ravens. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, I got some flack last week for going chalk from Craig, so let's go with plus money. Let's go with the Rams plus 140 against the Lions.
But were you right on your chalk?
Sad as I'll be, I think the Rams will get it done.
Good call on Mission.
I think that's a good.
I'm with Craig, but I'm going Dolphins Chiefs first half under 21.5. Maybe it takes a little to get acclimated to the weather.
It's usually the play because
Yeah.
Philadelphia played Detroit in an absolute snowstorm. I think it was 8-0 at the half, and they scored 55 in the second half because teams adjust. So it's a smart play.
Yeah.
But is it a winning play?
Well, you could have 4 plays: the full game under, the 2 first half unders, and win all 4.
Under.
All right. Well, I'm going Packers over Cowboys.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that.
You guys.
Money line?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cindy don't bother with no minus
I
one
know.
temperature.
Nope. Go big or go home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went back and forth here. After you told me the stat that they've never lost there, that actually made me want to switch.
I need to
for some
confirm
reason.
that, but I did see it in the
Yeah,
thread.
because something in me was like, all right, then it's ending. That streak is ending. But no, I'm gonna stick with. But moving on, I think let's get into Super Bowl matchup predictions. Who would like to start?
So I have to have loyalty to my futures advice. So we said the Ravens week 1, we said the Bills on week 6 or 7 or wherever it was. So we've
Right.
got 25s and 40s on those, so we'll keep those 2. I think the NFC is weaker. The Rams of all the playoffs teams had the 4th toughest schedule. Everybody else was double digits. They're not going to see an outdoor game, and if they are on the road, it's not going to be a cold weather stadium. Unless they get Philadelphia, maybe in the conference championship. So for me, we've already got the Ravens Bills, but I'm going to take 2 NFC teams now for the Super Bowl. Eagles at 18s and Rams at 50s, and let's hope we get 2 of those 2 teams match.
I think that's cheating, but we'll allow it. You don't have an outright.
I called one week 1, I called one week 7. Now I've been waiting for an NFC team value.
So
there's
now
the
you have to
value.
call one week 19.
Yeah, there you go. I'll take the Rams and the Eagles against either the Ravens or the Bills.
No, cheating. So it won't count if it wins, but.
Lions versus Texans. Lions wins 31-23. No, that's what I want, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be chalky. I'm going to go 49ers Ravens. 49ers will be 2.5-point favorites and send the
Double
Ravens.
down on the chip.
No more chips. And the Ravens packing with a flight straight from Harry Reid International Airport to the Bahamas for the Ravens.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't like to be chalky as well, but I'm going to say 49ers Ravens. I mean, I think, like Craig's right, I think the NFC is the weaker spot, and the Niners just been the most consistent. You know, I could see the Bills, not the Ravens, but as of right now, that's what I got to go for. I hate saying it because
I don't like to be chalky.
Yeah, I don't like it, but I can't see anything as of right now that'll make me think otherwise. But anything can happen. We've seen teams like, we saw the Bengals, we've seen teams get to the Super Bowl where nobody else thought they had a chance. So,
Right.
Anything's possible. But those 2 teams are the number 1 seed. They deserved it. They were the best throughout the year, and reluctantly, I'm going with that matchup.
And you're telling me this has nothing to do with the TikTok conspiracy of the colors?
Oh, it has 100%.
That's where Joe
Yeah.
gets his picks from.
That's
I've been
why I'm
following her
backing
for
that.
quite some weeks now. So
That's what I thought. Okay, guys. Well, that concludes our episode of Talking with the Traders. Thank you so much for joining and everyone who submitted questions. If you don't already, please follow us at Caesar Sportsbook on X, Instagram, and Facebook. This entire conversation will be uploaded to our YouTube tomorrow. So if you'd like to see a video version and these guys' lovely faces, please check us out there. Guys, anything to say before we head into Wildcard Weekend?
Let it snow, let it snow.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.